membership negotiations, and stranded on an L-class planet. What adventures does Discovery have in store for us this episode? Welcome to Trek Central, I'm your host Captain Jack, and let's get right into it. We've already reached the 4th episode of Starfleet Discovery Season 4, titled All Is Possible, which is written by Alan McElroy and Eric J. Robbins, with Alan McElroy weirdly having written the 4th episode for Season 2 and 3. I guess he likes the number 4. The episode is also directed by John Ottoman, a newcomer to Star Trek Discovery. So, this episode, Tilly and Adira lead a team of Starfleet Academy cadets on a training mission, but takes a dangerous turn. Meanwhile, Burnham is pulled into tense negotiations on Ni'Var. Of course, like always here on Trek Central, if you do want to keep up to date on all the latest Star Trek news, lore and more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from the team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on social media for daily updates on the Star Trek universe. Okay, let's jump into our review of this episode. This episode is extremely fascinating, as it basically follows two stories which are remarkably different from one another, but are both very interesting for the story going forward. One deals with Ni'Var Federation talks for Ni'Var to join the Federation, and the other deals with Tilly helping out on a training mission for Starfleet Academy. We'll start with a training mission, of Tilly and Adira going off on a survey mission with a bunch of new cadets, with Tilly doing so at the behest of Qowat, who finally reappears this episode. We've wondered where the mysterious man was and why he's now overseeing the Academy. To be honest at this point, I don't want any answer to Qowat, just more questions really. What I adore about this Academy plotline is it does show a pressing issue in our current world, especially going forward. A lot of these students have lived in very isolated communities because of the burn, not being able to travel and meet and work with people. This was a problem we're seeing in the world of children going to schools with diminished social skills, due to being in isolation for so long. What I loved about this plotline was that this group of cadets came together in adversity, learned not to judge each other, and one of them used to be in the Emerald Chain, which I'm very glad still has consequences, even though the organisation at this moment has probably collapsed. But when people view him as evil, it was actually a case that his father was imprisoned for lying to make the Emerald Chain better. We do get a new look at the shuttles of the 32nd century, which are okay, there isn't really anything special there, and then crashing on a snowy planet and being chased by a monster. It's very Star Trek 2009. You know, Kirk being stranded on Delta Vega and being chased by that monster. The unresolved of this plotline is that Tilly actually leaves the crew of Discovery to help teach at the new Starfleet Academy, which is something I definitely didn't expect to happen, but the writing has pretty much been on the wall since the beginning of the season I guess, when we look back at it. We have her not really doing much after work hours from episode 1, and really keenly understanding just how fragile life is upon Nala's die, with her exploring different things to get out of her comfort zone, such as the Qowat Milat mission last episode and the Academy mission this episode. But I think what really pushed Tilly into the decision was probably Gabriel Burnham last episode, explaining the full meaning of a Qowat Milat saying, choose to live, and that in our life we always come to the end of paths, and we have to look inside ourselves with absolute candour to find a new path to set on. And with that is what Tilly has done. It'll be a shame not to have Tilly there anymore, but hopefully she pops up for cameos every now and again since she's still around. This plays a lot like Commander Nan from last season, who left to return home to Barzan, but a little more fleshed out. Hopefully we get to see more of them both in the future. It does however solve an issue that I've been having with season 4, and that is the role of Tilly and Adira, since they essentially filled the same purpose character-wise on the bridge, being a science officer, and I'm glad everything's been resolved in a really nice way. Even being symbolised by Tilly giving Adira her NX-01 snow globe, which if any Trek brand license is listening, why haven't we got an NX-01 snow globe for purchase right away? It's Christmas time, it's a perfect time. Come on CBS, give me the NX-01. Now, going back to Ni'Var, we have membership talks in Ni'Var and the Federation, with Admiral Vance mysteriously ill for, so Saru and Burnham would go in instead. I love the decision to have Saru join Burnham in this, as Saru this season has been so wise. His time as a council member on Kaminar has really wisened him up, even more than he previously was. As expected, these talks start to fall apart rather quickly, in an interesting way. With the anomaly, Ni'Var basically wants an easy exit clause for its membership, which is very fascinating. I really love how this episode and the previous episode handle the overarching threat, with consequences of the threat being a plot point of the episodes, and not directly tied to the arc, but tangentially. It really makes it seem like the looming presence is being felt, but not overwhelmingly the screen time of the season. This is a stark contrast to Season 2, which I find was kind of overwhelming with its overarching plot, and has grown better in Season 3 and now Season 4. Can anybody think of an analogy for Navarre exiting a federation? I mean, we've got Brexit, so can Navarre exit? Nivexit? I don't know. Someone think of it in the comments and let me know. Burnham talks to the Federation president while Saru talks to President Tarina, as they realise that it's probably their purpose in being there. A sly move from President Rillick, who has become such a fascinating character. You believe in what she is doing, but she has some very interesting ways of getting there that you don't trust. I love her as a character and I hope we get to see much more of her. She reminds me of other characters from the universe I've seen before, where the ends justify the means. If you know which character I'm referencing, I will be impressed. I have to really appreciate Saru and his relationship with President Tarina. Everybody remarked on it last season, and we get some very interesting scenes between the two of them this episode. Tarina very much likes Saru, and Saru similarly in turn, but it's fascinating to see how Vulcans show their feelings towards someone, yet still be in control of their emotions. As expected, Saru and Burnham are able to get through the political theatre, and reunite these two factions, making note of the disparate rounds of Navarre, Romulans and Vulcans, who used to be at war with each other and now at peace, as well as President Rillick, a physical manifestation of peace between Cardassians, Bajorans and humans. I do wonder if Rillick was created for this exact episode and then worked backward. I do wonder if the extra time given to this season to write, due to the pandemic, assisted in such forward thinking. The solution to the issue of making a civilian quorum to oversee the membership of Navarre and the response of the Federation is great as well. I love how this season has shown the difference in organisational power between Starfleet and the United Federation of Planets, because it's very easy to confuse them and say they're the same. Tarina questions Starfleet being on civilian quorum, which Burnham waylays those fears by saying she is also a Navarre citizen, which is an interesting way to deal with that, but I guess she is based in both directions, or biased in both directions, you get what I mean. So yeah, that was the main aspects of this episode, but I suppose I should talk about some of the minor aspects of this episode as well. I really hope that this season we do get more aspects of Starfleet shown. I can understand not seeing bridges and tiers of new Starfleet ships because sets are expensive, though we do have a new AR wall for Discovery, so that can make an interior pretty much cost and space efficient. So I will note that I enjoyed the ship that picked up Tilly was the USS Armstrong, a 32nd century Constitution class starship, and getting the name of its captain, Captain Yamhara. Book is still dealing with his grief, and not to sound sadistic, I enjoyed that view of it. We did have him reprieve from his grief last episode, after his mind meld with Tarina, but grief isn't something you just overcome and get over, and it's done. It comes in waves, so it's nice to see that play out. Also, very nice to see Colbert in his counsellor mode, doing different things to help his patients. It was also very nice to see a little bit of Grey in this episode, now that he has his new body, though unfortunately there just wasn't much in this episode of him, so hopefully we get more to see of Grey in the future episodes, and I'm sure we will. But that was our review of episode 4, a pretty solid episode which does some great world building, and asks us to bid farewell to a character that has been on the journey with us since basically day 1. Tilly, we will miss you, but hopefully we'll be back for cameos or maybe the Starfleet Academy show if it's set in the 32nd century Starfleet Academy, which is definitely a possibility now I think about it. Good theorizing there, Dom. What did you think of this episode? Let us know in the comments below. Of course, like always, if you do want to keep up to date on all the latest Star Trek news, lore and more, then make sure to hit that subscribe button to never miss a video from myself and the team here at Trek Central. You can also follow us on social media or join our community Discord server. For now, I've been Captain Jack. We'll see you next week for another Star Trek Discovery review, and thank you very much for watching. Live long, prosper, my friends. Goodbye.